This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Friday, we're going to talk a little basketball now, talk a little Heat, talk a little NBA with my man Ira Winderman. There he is. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ira, how are you doing, sir? After I would call it like a frustration game at the beginning. It was like a frustration sandwich. Frustrated that they were missing a lot of easy shots, and then a sloppy finish at the end. But in the middle, you got that substance, that meat, and Tyler Hero put on a show, baby.
Yeah, I would put it this way to you. They were terrible for the first three quarters. They fell behind by 12 to a team that's 4-12. I'm discounting what you're looking at the end with. It got a little shaky because it never got shakier than within 8 or 9 points.
There were some lazy passes.
Sure, there were, and against the pressure, and they just wanted to be done.
Yes.
But the bottom line is, you and I talked about these games. They put their stamp on it. They just said enough is enough in the fourth quarter. Who's going to take the reins? And boy wonder took the reins. And man, the more you watch Tyler Hero, and I just wrote about this in the Sun Sentinel, the more I think no matter what happens with this team this season, you have to keep him as sixth man because you need that energy. Because when they were lethargic early, when no one had it going, hey, you can get knocked around a little by Detroit. You're not going to get slammed to the ground like against a great team or even a very good team. And then Tyler comes in and does what he does. And the way he did it, they're down 9 points start of the fourth quarter. Three-pointer, 6 points. Three-pointer, 3 points. After another Heat player scores, gets the jump shot after the timeout by Detroit, Heat's up by 1, about 8 minutes to go, never trail again. This kid is special. And I got to tell you, we had this discussion with you when we did our Acura Pembroke Pines report earlier in the week also, about who you might trade Tyler Hero for. We've spoken about it with Clay Ferraro on our Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint. So I spoke to a scout this week, and I said, you know what? I'm throwing a lot of stuff against the wall because that's what I do on the Big O Show. And I said, and I got to ask you, would you trade Tyler for Zion Williamson if he became available? Would you trade Tyler for Bradley Beal if he became available? And the scout who has been in this league for more than 3 decades said, what are you talking about? He's your future. He and Bam are your future. That eventually the old will become very old. You guys have, and this scout, who's a Western Conference scout, loves the Heat. And he told me, you guys have what every team's looking for. The guys to bridge into your future. That when you look in this roster, you don't say, we got an expiration date of about a year here or 2 months or something like that. He said, why would you even think about that? He goes, you have Hero and you have Bam, and whatever happens after Lowry and after Butler, you're in good position already. That's the envy of this league.
And Duncan's a hell of a shooter, dude. I know he's been in a funk, but shooters get in funks and then they'll get out of it. They have one of the 5 best shooters in the NBA.
Yeah, and he's still among the top 10.
To compliment those guys.
And he's still among the top 10 in three-pointers made, even if the percentage is not out of worldly like we expect Big O. It's still a quality percentage. So, but again, he's a little older. He was one of those older rookies to come in. He's 3-4 seasons in also. The youth of Tyler and the youth of Bam, and Bam was not very good last night, but hey, that's going to happen sometimes also. It's just interesting. Everyone was burying Tyler Hero about his attitude and everything. And all you've heard from Eric Spoelstra is how much the kid has worked, and you're seeing it right now. And he's humble. I can't stand this thing about Tyler being arrogant. I'm around the kid. He couldn't be any more humble. And yesterday also, at the end of the teleconference, we're on Zoom, some reporter from an international source. I don't know if you saw this. So Tyler, what about All-Star and what about Six-Man Award? And he's like, yeah, I ain't going there. I ain't going to piss anyone off about taking their position or their award. I got to go. I'm going to play, another quality sixth man even when I go to Minnesota. I'm going to shut the F up and go forward from there. The kid's learning. He may never learn how to grow a full mustache based on how he looked after the game.
That's all right.
But the kid's growing in the ways you need him to grow.
Yeah. And even on social media, he's not all out there like he was in the past. Right. Everything about him, there's a maturity factor. By the way, let's not forget the 8 rebounds and the 3 assists yesterday.
Yeah,
also.
I mean, he had a complete game. And again, nothing about ego, just wanted to get it done. And I got to tell you, when he says I'm built for these moments, it's not hubris. Because Big O has these moments.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, the second leading scorer in the NBA total points fourth quarter is Tyler Hero, behind only DeMar DeRozan, who's having a breakthrough return comeback season. Second most minutes of fourth quarters of players in the NBA. He's behind only Miles Bridges, who's obviously having a big year and heading into his free agency. So it's not just, we talk all, and I talk to you about this a lot also, about empty calories. Oh, Hassan has a double-double. Nobody does it with blocks. Okay, but your team still stinks and you're not winning. Tyler Hero's doing it in a winning setting. He's doing it in meaningful moments. He's doing it for Kyle Lowry. He's doing it for Jimmy Butler. He's helping make them better. Kyle Lowry last night had 1 assist through 3 quarters. He got 7 in the fourth quarter. Why? And Kyle tells us this. He goes, you guys got to stop asking me about assists. You get assists when guys make the shots.
Right.
I can get them the ball. They have to make the shots. Well, last night, Tyler Hero made the shots, and that made all the difference.
Yeah, although there was a little stretch there where Tyler's hot, and all of a sudden they're setting up Caleb Martin. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Even Tyler passed up a shot for Caleb, and he misses it. I'm like, yo, Tyler, get greedy, bro. Shoot that.
And you know what? And you'll learn through those moments. And at one point, it won't be Caleb Martin. It'll be a Victor Oladipo. It'll be Duncan back on the floor. They'll get to where they are. Right now, they're just trying to manage.
To Tyler. But at that moment, just feed the beast, dude.
Well, the beast got fed with 14 points in the fourth quarter, so he did enough. Oh, that was a hell of a show. My mom had called earlier today. She always checks in. She goes, I wish I just watched the fourth quarter. I go, yeah, that's what you have to endure sometimes also. Now, tonight's a much tougher test as I sit here in Minneapolis because they have players who can score. Anthony Edwards can put a 50 burger on you. Karl Anthony Towns, for all the animus with Jimmy Butler, has had some huge statistical nights against the Heat. We still don't know the injury report. That won't be out until a little bit later today for the Heat. So this is, even though you're playing another losing team, you're playing a far greater challenge against the Timberwolves than you were against the Pistons.
By the way, you got to tell your mom to get on the Hard Rock app during the game, because during that frustration, I handled it like the crypto market. You would have been proud of me. The line was 10.5 yesterday, or 10, depending on whatever.
Right.
And I said, there's no way I'm laying that many points.
Sure.
So I'll wait till the start of the game. Maybe the Pistons surprise and they get out early. Sure enough, they got out early. The line started dropping. I took it at 6.5. Then I doubled it up at 5.5.
Yep.
Then I doubled it up at 4.5.
Oh, so that's why you were complaining about the end of the game, because all of a sudden you were playing the line. I was just getting the W and going home.
Then I played it at 3.5. Then I got it at 2.5, and then they gave the Heat plus 4.5, and I took that also.
Yeah.
And I won all those bets yesterday because they easily won over 6.5. And we took care of it, and that's it. It was done. It was over, and it was beautiful. Yeah, it was frustrating yesterday, the sloppy ending. Come on, man. You were up by 10. Make sure you just...
Yeah, you know what? I just had my whole story written, the great comeback, Tyler Hero. I didn't need anything to change. As long as they won by 1 point, I would have been happy, even though you wouldn't have.
Yeah, no, because I only would have won one bet, the plus 4.5. That's not good enough. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is. But anyway, so just tell your mom to get on the Hard Rock app and play it live so you can get real value.
She's still more like Clay and me with the AOL address, and I think she's still using Windows 1. So I don't even know if she'd be able to get on there with their little Cricket phone or whatever it is.
By the way, I took the Knicks yesterday too, minus 5.5, and then it went down to 4.5, and I took it again. And they took care of business against
barely though. I mean, you thought you were cruising for a little, yeah.
I was sweating it up, but in the end, we got the victory. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing. Nothing wrong with that. You thought the suspension was fine? Was that the right thing?
You know what? As long as LeBron got at least something, I think Stewart should have gotten more. But this league really is about recidivists. So if you're a guy who has a history, honestly, like the Morris brothers or something like that, you're going to get a little bit more. And usually the first time around, they'll sort of slap you and then say, hey, now we see how he handles it. If this had been Isaiah Stewart's second, third, or fourth time, you're probably talking 3, 4, 5 games. But I think the league in the first case says, okay, if you're really sorry about the way it happened, we'll give it to you this time. That probably in other times under David Stern or a little harsher vice presidents like Rod Thorne probably would have been 3 or 4 games. But the fact that they didn't dodge the LeBron suspension when they had a national television game at least makes the playing field even.
For you, what are the keys tonight against Minnesota on a back-to-back night?
Bam has to be better. Bam was not great last night. Karl Anthony Towns will get you numbers. I don't know if there's winning numbers or the Hassan numbers, but he'll put up the big numbers. You got to contain Anthony Edwards. We'll see what they do defensively there. I like Eric Spoelstra. He's playing these back-to-backs to win. Last night, probably about 90 minutes before the game, you had Duncan questionable, Bam questionable, PJ questionable. They all played. So Eric is playing to win. And the good thing, is after tonight, they get 2 days off before they play again in Chicago on Saturday. So you can push your guys a little bit more. Jimmy Butler hates the Timberwolves, hates everything they stand for, and really can't stand Karl Anthony Towns. So as much as Jimmy was very uneven yesterday, except getting to the foul line, I think maybe he was saving a little bit for tonight. But you know that Jimmy will come out full of emotion, if nothing else. And I'm sure the crowd will greet him warmly at the Target Center.
You know, Ira, Miami has 6 losses. 5 of them are on the road. They're 6-5 now on the road. How important is it for them to maintain a winning record on the road?
I mean, you want to at least be 500 on the road. If you do what you do at home, you'll have a very good record. But what I like, Big O, is they're competitive on the road. Their last 3 losses by a total of 9 points, 3 3-point losses to the Lakers, to the Clippers, to the Wizards. So they're in every game. They're fighting to the end. The Denver game really was the exception, to the losses on the road to this point. So as long as your team is competitive, as long as you can watch the final minutes and your team has a chance, that's all you want. They're still sorting things out. They're sorting the rotation. Last night was interesting. No Max Strus. Instead, some Gabe Vincent, because Eric Spoelstra saw quicker, smaller players to go in that direction. They're throwing the zone back. It was very effective in the second half last night in Detroit. So I think the Heat are still formulating. They're not what they're going to be. I like what Eric's doing. He's going through different possibilities, different permutations. He's using different defenses. He's going to find who they are. He's not like the coach who's going to give you that great throwback pitch to the quarterback when you need the touchdown. He's going to save his good stuff for the meaningful moments. They're growing as a team. This new group with Lowry, with Tucker, Morris when he comes back are coalescing. That's all you can ask for.
Miami is favored by 1.5. What does the great Ira Winderman say?
Well, I don't want to be negative Joe Shad here and saying that they're going to have a turnover and lose on a Hail Mary pass at the end. But I do think this is a tough spot. Minnesota's rested. They've been off, and they play garbage teams lately. They blew out New Orleans on Monday. I think this is a good spot for the Timberwolves to win. To be honest with you, I think it comes down to how much of an SOB will Jimmy be tonight. I think the key tonight is Jimmy Butler has to outscore Anthony Edwards, and that's really putting a lot on his plate.
That's going to be a mission. Let's see. They got to bring that D tonight. That's what they got to do. Play that nasty D, and maybe they'll have.
And they like to slap down the smart Alec newcomers like an Anthony Edwards and show them, like they did to Jeremy Lin in that game way back when he thought he was the next great thing. So they have a way of, you give them time. They couldn't really game plan on a back-to-back, but I think they'll sort of make a statement tonight against Anthony Edwards.
And the last thing you want to do is lose to a nerd. So, you Anthony Edwards, come on, you can't lose to a nerd. So you gotta win tonight. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And of course, catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel as he jet sets all over this country covering your Miami Heat. Ira, safe in your travels, sir. Happy Thanksgiving.
And to you and everyone listening, and I'll be back with Clay Ferraro in a Pallet Rock City Inside the Paint, 9 o'clock on Friday from somewhere. We'll talk. Thanks, Big O.
You got it. Be good, Ira. There you go. Ira Winderman. Give me 2 minutes, and we will come back right here on the Big O Radio Show. That was Ira Winderman and the Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.